Anyway, the book of Maccabees, Joseph Flavius, Philon from Alexandria, all the literature of what he called the Second Temple, there is not even one sentence that mentions the land of Israel. This concept didn't exist in all this literature. And I repeat, Joseph Flavius, the book of Maccabees, Philon the Alexandria, all the things that we have after the Bible, the name of the land of Israel doesn't exist, my friend, my Jewish friend.
We don't want to hear from Mr. Hoffman again.
I said it doesn't exist. One moment. It's very important to understand. It doesn't exist as the term that applies to this territory, to the promised land. You understand me? In the Talmud, they mention a lot of time the land of Israel is concept, a religious concept of the Mishnah and the Talmud. And by the way, the borders of the land of Israel in the Mishnah, in the Talmud, in the real Judaism, in my point of view, you know what is the borders of the land of Israel in the Mishnah and the Talmud? There is borders. It's from...
the Egypt River.
No, not at all. This is very interesting. It's from, I don't know the name, Eka, from Eka till Ashkelon. This is the land of Israel in the Talmud. You have to know it if you discuss about terms. Okay? What is this? The second thing? Yes, I'm a fraud. You see?
Well, I don't think we need to go into that.
It touched me a lot. But after, I'm quite sure that when you said it, you were a good lecturer of me. You read the book.
Shlomo, I don't think we should pursue that.
Thank you very much.
We shouldn't pursue that. I mean, as to this, we've had enough of it. As to the detail about where land of Israel is mentioned or not mentioned, read the book and do your own research. But I think we can move on from that point. Now,
okay.
Can we have another question on it? There's one over there, yes. Sorry, there are plenty. It's difficult to get the right order.
I've got the microphone.
No, let's have this one first, and then we'll go over there. Come on, ask your question.
Wait, because even we can't hear.
Yusuf Sharif, King's College London. Professor, when you wrote these books, didn't you fear that your arguments would be used by people who are against the existence of Israel? Did you face this problem when writing it? Thank you.
That's a good question. Do you want to say something?
Yeah. As you know, politically, to answer, as you know, politically, I'm a very moderate person. No, it's not a joke. It's not a joke. Historically, I consider myself, as Donald said before, very, very radical by decomposing the myth. But you have to know, politically, I'm for a solution of two states. I never was in my life against the existence of the Israeli state. By the way, not of a Jewish state. Because, as you know very well, there is 25% of the population, citizens of Israel, that are not Jews. And I don't want that Britain will define itself as the state only of the Englishmen. You agree with me? Then politically I'm very moderate. I'm for two states, Israeli state and Palestinian state, confederated. Okay? I'm not from one state solution. You understand me? Now, writing the book, I was thinking that, people that don't agree with me politically, they can use it. But if somebody really read my book, read my conclusions, he knows very well that I am not against the existence of Israel today. We cannot go back in history. Even if Zionism, even the myth, and I think the myth, for me, become lies. Because, when the myth decomposes, it's become a lie. But it doesn't mean that you can go back. Now, but thinking like this, you cannot produce books. I think that I am very careful in my conclusions, political conclusions. Try to read the second one. Okay? But you know, people interpret you. You see what the people made with the Bible? Okay? The people that wrote the books of the Bible, the people that wrote the books of the Bible, they didn't know that they will be used by the Zionists 4,000 years later or 3,000 years later. Yes.
Can we go on to another question? Yes. Okay, thank you very much. There's somebody at the back who was...
This woman.
A woman at the back.
Right. The question of the two things, the land and the people. The Jewish people have a very clear identity, whether they're secular, whether they're religious, whether they're in Israel or in the diaspora. There's something that holds them together and has held them together all that time, in spite of the fact that they haven't had a land, and the world has benefited hugely from those people. And those people, for various reasons in history, have been deprived of a land, and it's time that the world allowed them to have a small piece of the earth.
I think that is a very important question, and I think what's worried me throughout this whole discussion and reading the books as well is, what does it mean to be a Jew if the ethnic character is missing, and if the attachment to the land of Israel is missing? What does it mean? Because clearly there is still a Jewish people. What's your view on that?
I will answer the woman. No. Before Hitler, most of the Germans from Jewish origin wanted to be Germans. Most of the French from Jewish origin wanted to be French. One moment, I will... Dreyfus was first of all a Frenchman. By the way, I'm putting forward that the first Germans were Jews. The first French, really, because they were in the cities, because they were not peasants, they were the first people that belonged to the national culture in Germany in French. Okay? They become very, very French. I will tell you a little story that was written in a book by an ex-Comintern agent in Germany. He was a member of the Communist Party, agent of a Comintern. He was arrested by the Gestapo in 35 or 36, I don't remember. They sent him to the concentration camp. And he, that wasn't from Jewish origin, said that the most tragic thing in the concentration camp was the people that was arrested because they are Jews. The communists, the socialists, the trade unionists knew why they are in the concentration camp. The German Jew didn't know. They didn't understand why they had been arrested. In his say, he's writing, it was tragic to see these people that didn't understand why they are arrested as Jews. No, I don't think, first of all, that always the Jews consider themselves as Jews. From Trotsky till Rosa Luxemburg. I don't think so. A lot of people from Jewish origin saw themselves or Germans or Russian or French or socialists or communists, first of all. The question that you put forward, what is a secular Jew? It's a very important question, and this is my third book, The Invention of the Secular Jew. Who invented the secular Jew? The anti-Semitic. The racist that considered the Jews that belong to an ethnic or to a race, and I try to show in the book that the Jews are not an ethnic and not a race. They are like everybody else here. a mix of a lot of origins, a lot of colors, a lot of cultures. The fact that today, in the beginning of the 21st century, so many people consider themselves as secular Jew and prefer to be a secular Jew much more than to be American or British, it's a very important phenomenon. My question is very simple. You see, I put forward a question. I can become a Christian if I want, converted to Christianity. It's possible or not? With a lot of chance, I can become a British citizen. Yes or no? With a lot of difficulties, but I can become. Even if my broken English, it's a problem, but I can become. I can become a member of the Labour Party or not? Even a conservative I can become. I can become Muslim. My question is very, very simple. How come that I can become a secular Jew if I'm not born with a Jewish mother? It's possible?
Yes.
But I'm an atheist. My mother is not Jew. And I want to belong to this club, to join the club of secular Jews. What is the way to join the club? Yes, I know that in the Russian Empire nobody wants to join the club. In Vichy, under Vichy, nobody wants to join the club. Before Auschwitz, nobody wants to join the club. But today, when we are in the side of the strong people, the Americans, first of all, the Europeans, what is the way to join the club? To become a secular Jew? There is a possibility. Now, this is a long discussion. It's not so simple what I put forward. It will be my next book. One thing I decided in the beginning of the 21st century. You see, I become more and more old like everybody here. And before approaching the exit, the sortie, I decided that I don't want to belong to exclusive clubs, only to inclusive clubs, that everybody can join the club. Why I decided? Because I came from a Jewish background, and I know very well the history of the Jews in the 20th century. I don't want to belong to your secular Jewish club because it's an exclusive club and not an inclusive club. And there are a lot of many that want to join the club today. Now, not only this, I am living in a state that defines itself as a Jewish state when 25 of the people there, the citizens, are not Jew. I cannot accept it. Especially that I'm privileged there. My Palestinian-Israeli student, Israeli citizens, has not the privilege that I have. Now, if you are from a Jewish origin, you can come tomorrow to Israel. In 3-4 days, become an Israeli citizen. Coming back to London, and feeling that this little land is your land, but it's not the land of my student, Palestinian student, Israeli citizens. Not at all. I cannot accept to belong to your exclusive club. Sorry. I'm Israeli.
Can I just say one thing?
I want to make Israel a state like Britain, a state of its citizens. All the citizens, not from the chosen, your chosen.
Mr. Hoffman, please, we've had enough from you.
Leave if you don't like it.
You want that I will join you in London? You asked me to join you in London. Don't advise it. It will be much more problems for you in London when I will be near you.
Ignore him.
Don't
He's a
descend.
troublemaker. Don't get upset with him. Just one administrative thing. Nobody's told me when this meeting is supposed to end. 8:30. Well, I was proposing to stop at 8:30 in any event. So we've got another.
Sorry if I was
minutes or
too
so.
long.
No, that's quite all right.